podcast.
And we're recording.
I'm Matt Bonta.
And I'm Cory Easley.
And for the first time, we're showing our faces on the sequel podcast.
So people can see the ugly mugs behind the words.
That's right. You want to turn and face me a little bit?
I don't give a shit.
So we've got some... Oh, man. You're fucking shit up.
I'm just destroying the world.
So, Cory, what's going on? It's been a little bit.
We got the bat signal, dude.
Yes.
I have one of those in my kid's room.
Same one?
No, it's a nightlight.
This can be a nightlight.
I know, but it plugs into the wall like a nightlight does. It's got a little... I don't know. Oh, that was a good one. The piss shivers all the way.
Like on Dumb and Dumber.
I don't remember that part.
When he pisses in the bottle. He keeps pissing in the beer bottles.
Like,
and when he's done, he does it.
And then the dude takes a drink of it.
Yeah, the cop.
The cop, yeah.
What was that dude's name?
I don't remember.
He was in like Half Baked. There's something about Harland Williams. Oh, let me. I like to keep my phone up in case I get comments.
Delayed comments.
Wave to the audience, Cory.
Oh, who's watching? Ali
He was. He's not on there. Alex, but he's not on there anymore.
we're watching.
We're watching. We're doing a sexy late night podcast for those who care.
Because I work crazy, stupid late hours.
I like doing the late night sexy podcast.
It's kind of fun.
It is fun. We can bring it down real low. I like to appeal to the red eye
The Red Eye Late Night crew.
the red eye listeners out there.
It's a sexy Thursday night when everyone should be
Super
asleep.
super sexy Thursday
Everyone
night.
should be asleep.
Getting
ready for work.
For a fucking Thursday, it was crowded today out there in the world.
I heard, because I miss all that the traffic and shit in the afternoons and in the mornings because I don't go to work until 3.
Right.
So it's like between rush hours. I just don't get it.
And you don't even hit anything.
Well, yeah, I live like 10 minutes away from my job.
Right, you live outside of the rush hour traffic areas.
But even when I was working day shift, I would get a little bit of traffic going into work.
Really?
Like 6, I leave at like 5:30.
And you get a little bit of traffic?
Only if it's like snowing. But there's enough cars moving where you could like see that there's people, but now it's like every day is Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
For as far as my commute's concerned.
Sure.
But I heard on the radio that there was fucking accidents all over 395 and 80.
Could be. I didn't come across any accidents, but it's felt like there was like a lot of people out today.
Yeah.
At all hours.
I don't know what that's all about. I saw a lot of people like with trailers and shit, like getting ready to go out of town. And
this isn't even like a big weekend.
I know. Maybe,
like a final July weekend
like
before.
A good old hoorah, right? Because it's only
people who work all year long, they wait until the middle of the year, July, to do something.
Well, it's like 2 weeks till school starts.
Yeah. Yeah. 2 weeks or 1 week?
2 weeks.
August.
Next week, it's August. Well, I should take that back because my son starts on the week of the 14th.
That's 2 weeks, including this week, is what you're saying.
Yeah, maybe that's how I'm looking at it.
Yeah. So like 1 week. If tomorrow's Friday, they've only got one more Friday to go.
That's probably why you saw a lot of people then, because they're trying to get
their last minute vacation with their kids and family and shit together.
Yeah, get that.
Are you doing
hoorah.
that? Are you getting a last hoorah, or did you do your last hoorah?
We went up to Boise weekend before last.
For those folks who weren't here for the super secret podcast we did last week without recording.
Yeah, we were
sitting out in the
cover of
garage
darkness in the skiff. No, so if you count,
if I count that,
it's 2 full weeks.
2 full weeks.
No, I'm sorry, it's not. Let me look. Yeah, it's 2 full weeks.
Radio silence.
No, because the 14th is the 3rd week of August. So you still got all of next week and all of the week after that before school starts. But it's likely that people are rushing out to get that last little
Probably.
vacation camping. I saw a lot of trailers and boats and shit like that.
How do you like the light setup that we got going on in here?
It's it definitely matches our super secret, sexy late night podcast thing.
Absolutely. So when we're podcasting in the day, it'll be kind of gay and boring. Not as fun and cool.
What exactly is this that we're?
It's vodka.
Some vodka.
Yes, and I'll tell you why. Today I went and saw the movie Atomic Blonde.
You son of a bitch.
Waste of time.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Because all the behind the scenes stuff, all the training stuff, and
Well, if you
promotional
only want to
material.
go and see those scenes, that's fine.
It's great.
That's
but
great.
the rest of it sucks.
It's so convoluted and complicated and
The storyline is.
pointless.
That hurts.
The storyline is completely pointless. Like we've never seen a de facto James Bond action movie before.
Right.
The only successful de facto James Bond action movie is the Mission Impossible movies. Radio silence.
I was going to ask you if you would put the Bourne series in there.
I'm not super familiar with the Bourne series.
As in you haven't seen
No,
them?
no, I've seen them. I've seen the first three.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't see the fourth one, and then I saw the last one, the fifth one that they
The
just put
newest
out.
one.
Yeah, a couple years ago.
Yeah. See, I've seen all of them except the newest one.
The newest one also, it was kind of like a money grab.
Yeah. Like, they did it because they felt like they had
Well, I mean,
to.
he wasn't even in the one before that.
Yeah, he wasn't.
And then they named the movie Jason Bourne. Like, hey, you know, that was the reboot year.
Yeah. Well, and I don't know what the point was behind that one. The
one without him?
off year without Matt Damon.
You know what? I heard, like, it looks like an action movie, but I heard that it actually wasn't really.
It wasn't great. It's not like the stuff that Matt Damon put in.
The third one I thought was fantastic. The Bourne Ultimatum.
I haven't seen all of them in a while, but which
But I remember liking that one a lot.
yeah.
It's actually Bourne Ultimatum kind of takes place. The end of the second one, I think, is like the middle of the third one.
Okay.
So they show you a little bit before that, leading up to how the second one ended,
Right.
and then continues from there. I believe that's how. I think it's got a weird kind of placement within
timeline
with
thing.
the previous one, because I think the second one is movie, and then kind of like maybe a fade to black, and then a quick little epilogue.
Right.
And so in between that epilogue and the majority of the movie is the first half of the third one. I
Okay.
believe, if I remember correctly.
That would make sense because I remember them trying to like sneak in that it was like a concurrent timeline thing.
Like I think it's like I think it's him and his wife in the second one,
Right.
and she gets killed.
Yeah. Well, I mean, she becomes his wife. It's the girl that he escaped
In the first
from
one,
Prague with. Yeah.
and he gets with her.
Right. And they go and they like hide away on a beach island.
Do
and
they? I don't really remember, but I know that he's with her and she dies in the second one.
And then the hitman comes to take him out because they figure out where he's at, and then he ends up killing his wife, and that's when he gets pissed and he's like back on it again.
And then at the end of it, like the woman is in her office, and he calls her up and is
Right.
like,
The director of
"I
the
can
program.
see you," or something like
He's like, "You better
that.
knock this shit off, or I'm gonna fucking come after all of you."
Credits, and
And then
then
we're like, "Oh, we need another one." And then they gave us that weird one with, was it Gerard Butler?
no, that was the fourth one, but they still have that the third one where it's the
Like
first half, and then
concurrent,
right.
Yeah.
But the fourth one was Jeremy Renner,
I always get those two mixed up.
Jeremy Renner and Gerard Butler.
I don't know why.
You know what's funny is
They have kind of the same face structure thing.
I think one of the Tell 'em Steve Daves I listened to, Brian Quinn, our man Brian Quinn of Impractical Jokers,
My boy.
got those two mixed up when he was talking about London Has Fallen, because that's a Gerard Butler movie, but I think he says Jeremy Renner when he's talking about it in
Okay.
the podcast.
Because I could see that. Like,
I can't see it. I honestly can't see it. The names aren't the same. The nationalities aren't the same.
yeah, but
Body
they
type,
look
build,
similar.
face. No, they don't look
yeah,
similar.
They do.
Jeremy Renner is a very clean-shaven guy. Gerard Butler is
He's
a
always
very
kind of
scruffy beard and buzz cut. that kind of matches the length of his beard. Whereas Jeremy Renner's kind of got a little bit longer hair.
Right.
Don't look up pictures.
I'm going to look up pictures.
Don't look up pictures.
You just don't want to see that I'm wrong. Or right, rather.
I don't want to waste the time.
Okay. Well, yeah, I know. I'm going to start looking it up. We're going to be on something else by then. So, if Atomic Blonde wasn't fantastic, then what was it for you?
A waste of time?
Like, complete, utter waste of time.
Yeah, complete waste of time. Like, honestly, like, because you're watching a movie, and it reached a certain point to where nothing else really mattered from that point forward. Like, do you mind if I spoil it for you?
No, go ahead, because I'm going to see it anyway.
And so, spoiler alert. So, like, she's a British agent, and she's in an interrogation room, and she's telling the story of... They don't even really say why they have her in the interrogation room. They're just like, sit down and let's talk about this. You know, like, she's all beat up and shit, and it's like, I guess it's presumably we're going to hear the story of why she's all beat up.
Right.
But they don't go in there and they don't go like, hey, you know, you fucked up, tell us where you fucked up, blah, 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 blah.
You fucked up.
And then from there, she hooks up with James, like, she tells the story. And, you know, it's funny, in the trailer almost tells you more than the movie does.
Really?
Because the trailer, they're like, oh, so-and-so died. Did you know him? And then in the trailer, there's a flash to her and the dude, like, banging or something along those lines.
Okay.
In the movie, that is not at that part. In fact, I don't even think they show that at all in the movie. So they're just like, oh, so-and-so died. Did you know him? And she was like, oh, enough to, you know, say hello. We worked together on this. And they're like, oh, well, he's dead. And they don't bother to show them, like, a quick flash to them banging. I think maybe briefly they show a picture of her and him, like, kind of hugging. Like, you know, like a Polaroid or a...
Right.
But they don't... I'm pretty sure they didn't put that other shit. Like, if you didn't see the trailer, you might not even know that those two were involved intimately.
Like, that trailer shot was not even in the movie.
No. I don't think so.
I fucking hate that.
I don't think so at all. So, like, you lose a plot point if you don't watch the trailer. Or, like, at least you lose a plot point until, like, 45 minutes in or something like that.
Right.
But at some point, they, like, tell you that James McAvoy is, like, double-crossing the agency, you know, the British agency or whatever, but... Like, the way they do it is so ass backwards and terrible writing. You know what I mean?
So is that it's hard to follow and the storyline is complicated? Is that why it's kind of like discordant almost?
It's not hard to follow, but when they start throwing shit in there, it's like, well, let me go back and rethink about things that have happened and see if it makes sense. And it doesn't really make sense. It's like, oh, we're watching a movie. Let's throw a twist in here just because.
Not to further the storyline or to twist the storyline.
Right.
But just to twist it up and be like, oh, look at this, fuck you.
Right. And then they do it again for no reason.
Wow.
So, like, you're following along and they're like, okay, at what point does James McAvoy become a bad guy? Okay, this is where he becomes a bad guy. Okay, so we're watching him be a bad guy. Okay, and then it switches it over where she ends up actually being like a triple agent. So she's British the entire time. And then at the end, when she says James McAvoy was a bad guy to the people, she turns around and is actually American at the very last, like, scene of the movie.
So okay. Fuck that.
You know, but, like, it's one of those things, like, why did these two people have a conversation in this way when they already knew that, you know, it's like if I were talking to you in Russian, but you already know that I'm not Russian and there's no one around to say otherwise. So, like, why are we seeing this scene of these two people who already know and they don't need to be play acting anymore?
Because you never know who's watching.
I mean, that's the only saving grace. That's literally the only saving grace. But really, these two people were standing up on on the top of stairs,
right,
outside, where there is nobody listening.
I could see your argument there.
It's like
I've also seen that played out though in like spy movies, and I don't have an exact example.
Sure.
But I have seen it where it's like, you know, the terrorists or the spies or whatever, they're like, you know, we're only speaking English or we're only speaking Russian. And a lot of times I feel like that's done for the language aspect. Like, okay, you know, we're Iranian terrorists, but we're only going to speak English the whole time, no matter what, even in the confines of our base.
One thing, though.
I feel like it's done for the purpose of language.
Well, look, like she's British and she's actually an American agent.
Playing a British agent, playing a double spy for the...
No, she's an American, like, CIA agent.
Right.
I think she's pretending to be a British agent, which I don't know how that works.
So she's an American agent pretending to be a British
agent.
Like MI6.
Right.
So CIA pretending to be MI6, then undercover as MI6 under another Russians?
No.
Or is that the McAvoy character that's doubling up?
You know, and that's what doesn't make sense, because they show scenes of him being bad, but then she flips it around and makes it out like she pretended like he was bad and he really wasn't. But they showed scenes of him being a bad guy.
That sounds confusing.
It's super confusing when you sit there and think about it. I mean, maybe somebody else, maybe a second viewing with a couple other people, and we can break it down.
Might make more sense.
No.
It's like it's not going to make sense.
It's not going to make sense, but you can really pinpoint the exact, like, okay, this doesn't make sense, but...
At least break down the story they're
break
trying
down a
to
little
tell.
bit. Right. I mean, it's based on a comic book, and in all honesty, I've seen comic book movies like this, like where they find like a single graphic novel that is not a superhero story,
Which
and
is
then
kind of hard to do.
And they make it into a movie, and you see how they kind of cut out all of the deeper points that make it unique to what it is and good. I haven't read it, so I don't know if
just
it
to
actually
make
is
a movie
good.
out of it.
Just to make a movie out of it.
Yeah, and that sucks.
Like, have you ever seen Kick-Ass? Have you seen Kick-Ass?
Yes. They stripped the story, didn't they?
They ruined the comic book. But if you watch the movie, and I've always said this, if you watch the movie Super, which James Gunn made, like, none of the same characters, but all the themes that were in Kick-Ass are in that movie Super. Like, you can't look at Super and be like, oh my god, it's the same exact thing as Kick-Ass. You know, but it's absolutely a better adaptation of Kick-Ass.
Yeah.
Well, like, in the comic book Kick-Ass, it's about a kid that thinks it would be cool to be a superhero.
Right.
And then you've got, like, Big Daddy and Hit Girl. Mm-hmm. Now, in the movie, Big Daddy's, like, an ex-cop. Right?
Right.
And his daughter.
And Big Daddy's got, like, this axe to grind over criminals, and, like, this is his outlet outside of the system to get even with the bad guys.
Right. And then the bad guys... They kill him in a very kind of supervillain, superhero kind of way, and he's doing like this weird, like, moaning, singing, wailing kind of death throes while he's on fire.
Right.
And then Hit Girl and Kick-Ass, they go and get revenge, and he's flying around in a jetpack, and he's got a bazooka, and they kill all the bad guys. In the comic book, Big Daddy and Hit Girl, he's not a cop. He's a dude that has very old comic book collection, and he sells off comics when they need money to kind of pay for their gear and shit.
Okay.
And then he gets killed, and Kick-Ass gets the shit beat out of him, and everything kind of ends in a very real-life kind of situation if these people thought that they were superheroes.
Right, so you're out here pretending to be a superhero, and then
the real gangsters really...
real.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then you don't like, the whole...
It's not, like, fantastical or...
Yeah, like, you actually get your fucking ass kicked, and you end up in a ditch fucking bleeding and
dead.
And or dead, yeah.
And or dead, because mobsters are like, are you kidding? Boom, they shoot you and kill you.
Yeah.
And in the movie Super, it's exactly that. It's like a dude that puts on a costume and carries a monkey wrench.
Okay.
And he's, like, hitting people he thinks are bad. And Kevin Bacon is like the bad guy in this
Kevin
movie.
Bacon.
Kevin Bacon.
Kevin Bacon.
Kevin Bacon's
I love fucking Kevin Bacon.
I love Kevin Bacon.
Not as much as I do.
Well, fine, but clearly you haven't seen the movie Super, so fuck you.
Maybe you love him more than I do.
But he plays like this kind of gangster guy, and Dwight from The Office.
Mm-hmm.
He plays the superhero dude.
Okay.
And then Juno, Ellen Page, plays like this chick that works at a comic book shop, and she thinks it's so cool, and she gets all horned up and wants to be like his sidekick, and she like fucks him on a couch in this one point, and he's like, no, and it's this really weird thing, and they go to this they go to Kevin Bacon's like mansion to kind of get his like ex-fiance back.
And he's the bad guy.
Yeah, Kevin Bacon's a bad guy,
Okay.
and she totally gets her head blown off in this real kind of way, and I think he gets like his ass kicked. Like there's a happy kind of resolution to the movie, but it's not the stupid fucking.
But the undertones are a lot more serious and realistic.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
like there are real consequences to the real actions that you were making.
Well, and I think that in a lot of movies we kind of miss that because we want to be disconnected from real life so much
That's fine.
that we're overly excited to let go of realism and realistic consequences
That's
to
fine.
fantastic situations.
But taking one person's medium that they put their
I understand that.
blood, sweat, and tears into, and they like it, and it goes
Destroying
out,
it.
and then someone's like, "Oh, this is cool, but fuck these last 50 pages. I'm gonna write 50 new pages to make it better."
Well, and that's, I don't know. That's the tough part. Like I've
It's
been
one thing if
thinking about.
it's one thing if you take something and then you kind of like take the idea and just rewrite it. It's another thing if you take almost everything and just
Yeah.
rewrite a new ending.
Everything except the thing that makes it itself.
Absolutely.
And I've been thinking about, like adaptations, if you will, of certain things because, I like, when I was younger, I would go, why do I need to read this book? I can just watch the movie.
Sure.
And I think a lot of people say that. And then when I finally got interested in reading, and I started reading books that became movies.
Before
was
they
like-
came movies.
What's that?
Before they came movies.
Before, what did I say?
No, I'm confirming what
Yeah,
you
I
said.
would read the book.
And then it eventually would become a movie.
It would either become a movie or it already had become a movie.
And you found out later after reading it.
Or I'd read the book first, knowing that it was a movie,
Okay.
and then go see the movie.
Okay.
Like, I read the Hunger Games series, which I was super disappointed after I watched the movie.
The first one?
Yeah, the first one was awful.
Really? You think so?
The first Hunger Games was fucking terrible.
It was close enough.
It was relatively close. I just think it was really blah.
The only difference you would get is if it made it R-rated, and they kind of
Well, and the books really weren't R-rated. I mean, I think some of the graphic
like when
content,
she kills the little girl,
yeah, I think some of the
or
graphic
she doesn't kill the
content-
little girl, but another dude kills the little girl, and
And
she
then she
kills the
tried to-
guy that killed the little girl, right?
Right.
And she like shoots him through the throat with an arrow.
That's what I mean. The graphic nature of the writing is the only difference. I mean, language-wise, it was pretty clean. I mean, it's young adult
Yeah,
writing.
no, it's young adult, and the writing's clean.
It's relatively clean. Now, some of the graphic visual content that you would have gotten from a movie, I would have liked to see that, just because I think it would have been more true to the story. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. But regardless of that, I thought the directing was terrible and whatever. But, who am I?
I mean, you're right.
I don't know anything.
It's very broad
It's not
TV
great.
kind of tween movie.
It is.
That's the audience it's going for.
It
so
is.
they
And
just
after being excited
made a
about the
flat
movies,
movie.
after being excited about the books, as a fucking adult, like a grown ass man reading these young adult books,
I thought the first one was fine. It was I read it and was
Yeah.
into it. The second one, not so much.
I read very quickly. So,
I still
This-
haven't
if-
read the third book or seen those last two movies.
see, I haven't seen the last
Half
half of the whatever movie.
third.
Yeah,
book.
the last half of the third book. I haven't
Movie
seen that
adaptation.
yet. But anyway, like I was saying before, I've been thinking about the adaptation thing because there's a book series that I would like to see done.
Your zombie one.
My zombie
Just go watch Walking Dead.
fuck boy, fucking okay. So fuck you. By the way, I still like Walking Dead Kiss My Ass.
No, that's fine.
But thinking about that got me thinking about Walking Dead and things like that have been graphic novels and turned into movies.
Mm-hmm.
And really, and this is just me talking out of my ass, if you take a graphic novel and you turn it into a movie, it shouldn't be that
storyboards are right there.
It shouldn't be that fucking hard.
Right.
Like it should be really, really difficult to fuck it up. If you can get a script behind the graphic novel to make the script work,
is you can sit there and you can read a graphic novel and you can look at the pages, but I think taking that and adapting it ends up being really short.
Sure.
I think that's the only problem with adapting a comic book to
and like getting a direct
adaptation without really kind of going too far off. I think you'll get maybe a 20-minute script, a 20-page script.
Sure. But like I've watched some videos about the Walking Dead adaptations, and I don't know if that was I still haven't looked at any of the graphic novel stuff for that.
Those are quick reads. They're real quick reads.
Sure. But you're taking a TV series that's lasted
2010? Yeah, I think
seven seasons?
I think so.
I think this is the 7th season that they're on right now, or that just finally probably is over. But
just finished up, or
I haven't seen the last of this. I'm like halfway through the season, and I'm like off track now. I have to wait till it comes out on Netflix to see it. But you know, that's something to talk about. I think a TV series, especially an hour-long show, that's on 7 seasons now.
Right.
You know, I've seen some good series come up, and they're dead in 3,
or 1,
or
half.
Yeah, I've seen like a pilot season get like 6 episodes, and that's it.
Yeah.
You know, and then I've seen shows where they come on, they get like 2 seasons, and then they get shut down, and then some writer makes
come
a
back
deal
in a couple of years,
or some. Yeah, it was weird. It was Continuum.
I think we've talked about Continuum.
We did. I know we've talked.
I think
about
that was
it
our early morning. We've talked
Breakfast
about Walking
podcast,
Dead.
yeah.
Yes, we had mimosas and shit.
It comes back to TV sometimes. But I was super excited about that show, and I got 2 seasons. They didn't really clean up the story, and they shit canned it.
Have they cleaned it up now?
2 years later, after that goes by,
But wait, there's more.
I find out that they finished it.
Mm-hmm.
They get like, I don't know, I found it online. They got either 4 or 5 episodes.
5 episodes to finish it up.
To finish the story. And they did. And you could tell in the writing that it was rushed. You could tell that they didn't have a lot of time to tell the story.
Mm-hmm.
But they got it.
They're like killing off 5-10 people every
They're
episode.
like, yeah, the episode comes up and it's like, boom, boom, boom. 3 people that were like totally important to the whole series die. And then you get all the way to the end, and then it's like, they finish telling the story, and it's like, oh yeah, you fucking good job. Everything's cool.
That's how I felt that last season of Sons of Anarchy was.
See, I didn't watch the last the last season.
Every episode ends in a bloodbath.
I rage quit.
After Tara died?
I don't remember what episode I gave up, but it just got to the point where it was so monotonously violent. And
that was the last season, man.
Yeah, I probably gave up on like the first or second episode of the last season.
Every single episode ended in like, oh, this episode they killed all the hookers. This episode they killed all the Mexican bikers. This episode they killed all the black bikers.
Yeah.
It just, every single episode ended
and I think
in a
because
massacre.
I had been binging series after series to catch up, I think that's how I got burned out. Because I got up to that last episode, or that last season, and I'm like, fuck, it's just more of this angry, fucking nasty bullshit, which is normally fine, but I had been watching so much of it up to that point that I was just tired of it.
Yeah.
And I quit watching it.
It was like, Sons kind of did like a 2 seasons good, 1 season bad, 2 seasons good, 1 season bad kind of thing.
Yeah.
That 3rd season was terrible, where they go to Ireland.
Yeah, and I can see they're trying to change up the story. They're trying to stretch it out, get him out of the their little Redwood, California area.
It was
They're
so
trying to mix it up.
boring and stupid
It
and
was.
terrible. And then there was the point where he almost let his kid be with like the adopted or foster family.
Right.
And if he would have done that, which it looked like they were going to have him do,
Right.
it would have totally made everything that they did up to that point be for nothing.
It would have been absolutely for nothing.
Because all the people that died, all the people they killed, everything that they've done going to Ireland was to get the kid.
Right.
And if he would have just been like, oh, you know what, maybe not, it would have been for nothing. Absolutely fucking nothing. Which is kind of how Atomic Blonde was.
It was all for
It
nothing.
gets to the end and it's like, why did they do all this?
I found a new TV series to watch.
Okay, of course you did.
I don't know. I get home late. I'm by myself. I turn on the TV so I can eat and have something to do.
I've done that when I've worked late.
And I find something to watch. And sometimes it's documentaries. But I happened upon, I want to say it's a Netflix original series. And it's called Travelers. Mm-mm. And it's like a time travel thing. But it's not like physical. It's not physical time travel, though.
It's mental time travel.
It is.
Okay.
Like
Somewhere
you
in
seriously
Time?
nailed it on the head.
Have you seen that movie Somewhere in Time?
I have not.
With Christopher Reeve from 1980?
Probably not.
What he does is it's got this weird paradox where this old lady comes to him and is like, remember me or come see me again. And he's like, I don't know who you are. And she gives him like a pocket watch or something. And then he figures out that old lady was like this beautiful young woman like 70 years ago. And he goes to this hotel that she was at this certain day at this certain time. And he gets a room. And he takes all of the anachronistic shit and shoves it into the closet. So like a TV, everything that is, non-anachronistic to his time.
Right.
And he shoves it all into the closet. And he says into a recorder, like, you are here at this time at this place. You are here at this time at this place. Right. But he says, like, you are in this bedroom, like he says, like, the exact time and date that he wants to go back to.
Right.
But he takes a penny and he puts it in his pocket because that's his out.
Okay, I'm following you.
Okay, so he plays the tape recorder and he lays in bed and he just wills himself into the past.
Cool.
I
wish I could do that.
There's no time machine involved. He takes everything out so that he doesn't like accidentally sees this in his mental willing of himself into
Right.
it. And then like near the end of the movie, when he finally convinces the woman and this and this and this, and they have this great love affair, and he's like searching through his pockets or something, and he pulls out the penny, and automatically he goes back to his own time.
Gone.
Everything's gone.
Wow.
And he's like, no! And he does everything he can to try and get back, I think, and then he just kind of just lays in this bed and rots away and dies from malnutrition and a broken heart or something.
That's kind of a crazy storyline.
Is that not what they do in this show?
It's different, but it is mental in that the time travelers from the future are
From the future.
they're projecting their consciousness into the mind of someone who exists in our time. And I guess the theory in the movie is that they have these records, these historical records from the past, where they can pinpoint the time of death of these people.
Oh, so they jump
wherever
into
they are.
somebody who's supposed to be dead?
And it's kind of funny because they have like this thing that comes up on the screen that like kind of appears, fades in,
Some subtitles?
and it's like
title
time
name?
of death, and then it's got like 12:37, and then
Date.
it shows the clock ticking down to that time,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like time of death, and it's like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then when it gets to 1, you can see the person is like
Are they in a
either
machine?
going to die or no, they're not in a machine. The people are they're like you and me. If you were just going to like have a stroke or a
No,
heart
but the
attack.
people that are traveling mentally.
We haven't seen the future yet. I'm only in the first season.
So it only shows someone
It only
snapping
shows
into
the
their
past.
body.
Yeah. So it
But
shows.
how do you know they're time travelers?
Because they say so.
Are they all different actors each episode? So you don't see who's traveling
Well,
back in time?
Yeah, you don't see the people who come from the future. They've had some kind of like psychedelic, like weird,
Growing pains?
like some things where they have trouble reconciling their future memories with the current,
Right.
what they're dealing with.
Right.
So they like see things that aren't there sometimes, and there's some interesting stuff going on there. But and the theory is that this person that they're time traveling into is getting ready to die.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like overwriting their brain
Right.
with the consciousness of the future person.
So they're putting one
So I can
thing
only
in
imagine
the same place,
The
and it's
future
gotta
person.
kind of,
I can only imagine that the future person, when time traveling, the body dies. Just boom, done.
mm-hmm.
Because obviously we don't have the technology in the past to transport that person back, and that other person's not dying. So who knows? Maybe there's something to that later. But
Did you ever see Jacob's Ladder?
the title rings a bell, but I don't think I have.
It's like this Vietnam movie.
Vietnamese, or a movie about
A
Vietnam.
movie about Vietnam. And they claim that it's true,
Okay.
but they've said that it's not. So like this dude is a Vietnam vet, and suddenly like he's back in the real world. He's not Vietnam anymore. War's over, and he starts seeing these weird like things like lizard people.
Okay.
It's really trippy, and he just starts seeing crazy things, and then you find out at the end that what they've done is that they've experimented on these Vietnam soldiers while they're dying. I think I saw it once, and I it's a movie I really wanted to see, and I watched it, and it's like I think I built it up too much into my head, and it didn't live up to what I built it up to.
Right.
And it, so the dude goes on and lives his life, and then suddenly at the last second of the movie, it cuts back to him in Vietnam, where they had injected him with like some kind of drug to help him ease him into death, I think.
Okay.
And in that moment, he lived a further future life that would have happened if he had actually lived and went back home.
Right.
But the drug fucked with his head, and he started seeing things that weren't really there, like these lizard people. So the last bit of the movie is he snaps back to him, like on the operating table in Vietnam, dying, and then he's dead. Or maybe they're saying that when he did die, his brain kept on living, or something like that.
Yeah.
Which is kind of like a take on this Ambrose Pierce story from a long time ago called The Incident at Owl Creek Bridge. And they do this a lot, where it's it kind of started with this story in the Civil War where this dude's getting hung. But instead of hanging, like the rope breaks or something, and he fucking lands in the river, and he escapes, and he goes on to do this. At the very end, he actually died. Yep.
Died on the road.
Died on the road.
And I've seen that concept in a lot of other
And
movies.
it comes from that originally.
That is, and I think it's a cool idea,
Right.
because you can give somebody an entire life outside of what actually happened, and then right at the end,
And it's usually them seeing weird shit happening that shouldn't be happening.
Right.
Because they're actually dead, but their mind kind of refused to die with their body, and kind of
I can't remember the
like
name
in
of it.
these death moments, where they say like you see your life flash before your eyes.
Right.
But really these people are seeing the rest of their life keep going.
Interesting. Radio
Just a radio silence.
So what else?
I wanted to talk about Herzog, but you haven't watched any of these movies.
I haven't. I've been super busy at night.
Because
trying
we
to get
need
some
to
shit
take
together.
these classes that I paid for and we haven't
Next
done.
week.
Yeah, but you're not going to have enough time to watch these movies.
Oh yeah.
Okay. By the way, the movies, I suggest watching them if they have subtitles or dubbing in English. Watch the dubbing, and I don't want to sound like an asshole to the people who aren't listening.
But you are an asshole.
It's a terrible thing, like, to say that you should listen to it in the language that it wasn't filmed in. But
it also probably makes it more enjoyable experience.
it's easier to watch. And then the one movie, Heart of Heart of Glass? I think it's Heart of Glass.
I'll go with that.
Just listen to that with the commentary on.
Can I interject?
Yes.
Jeremy Renner and Gerard Butler have some seriously striking feature similarities.
Similarities?
Yes. They don't look like the same guy, but like nose and forehead, hairline, hair color, chin structure, very similar.
If you say so, man.
I do fucking say so.
You got a picture there?
I do. You want to see it?
Show it to the camera.
All right, so...
There's Gerard Butler.
There's Gerard Butler.
Okay. Looks totally like Gerard Butler.
And then...
So the people who are listening to this, not on its original viewing on Facebook...
There's Jeremy Renner.
You know, I could kind of see a little bit.
Though, like I said,
a little bit.
If you were to watch one movie this week...
We should put them in a movie where they play twins.
That would be funny. Or like... have them kind of grow out the same length of stubbly beard.
Right.
So that they're do their hair the same.
Do their same color.
And then have them switch places halfway through the movie. Or have Jeremy Renner do the reshoots for Gerard Butler.
You know, they did a Marilyn Monroe movie like that, where one actress played her as the movie starlet, and then a different actress played her as who she was when she wasn't being Marilyn Monroe movie starlet.
That's kind of an interesting concept. Hey, look, we're live.
We are live.
It looks like a shitty version of Tron.
That's what we're going for. If I had my Tron thing here, is that you that's watching?
Yeah, it's me. Well, actually, I'm not.
It shows that someone's watching, but it doesn't say who's watching.
That's because I have it on preview.
Right, and that's you. But if you click on it,
if I click on it, it'll say it's me.
It'll say Cory Easley is watching, but it didn't. Okay, click off of that. We don't need to hear it. Oh, there it is right there.
Oh, Cory left. Because he's a fuckface.
So, yeah, the Herzog movies, watch it with...
English dubbing. I don't have a problem with that. I like watching subtitle movies sometimes.
I love watching subtitle movies. But for some reason, Herzog's movie, and this is what I'm going to get into about Herzog, is his movies are almost not even about character or dialogue or plot.
Really?
It's almost like watching a painting. So if you take a painting and you're making the painting, what you're painting is a scene of something.
Right.
And
so you're creating a visual.
Visual. Right. So he's creating a movie about people in a setting, and it's very thematic, and it's very kind of like if he made those movies today, they would kind of be like what Avatar was supposed to be with its 3D technology. Is you're supposed to put with 3D in that movie, it's not like things popping out at you. It's you feeling like you're in the world of
presence and immersion.
Pandora.
Right.
So you're watching his movies, and you'll see a lot of it's crazy watching his movies back to back because they're all like this giant jungles and rivers and mountains, and and then there's these people in them and they're talking and doing things, but it's very...
But it doesn't seem like the movie's about
It's all about location. I mean, it is. So if you were to be like, oh, hey, what is this movie about? I can tell you what it's about.
Right.
And it's a very simple theme. Very, very simple plot. So what you're doing is you're kind of watching these people in a setting. Is it sticky?
No, I think my arm's sweating.
No. So yeah, if you put it on and watch it, you don't really need to watch it in its original German with the subtitles on. You can put it in English because it's going to be a very basic movie.
Gotcha. Not to jump too far off of Herzog, but the movie Downfall. I don't know if you've ever seen it.
The German movie.
The German movie.
About Hitler.
About Hitler in the bunker and kind of the final huzzah there. Most people have seen
the meme.
With the bad lip reading or the bad...
for everything about Hitler gets pissed off.
Yeah, I saw the
Watchmen one. I saw the one about Inglourious Bastards.
And there's one for everything.
Right.
Where there's that one scene where Hitler's talking to his generals.
Where he's like,
in the
"Oh, I
bunker.
can't wait to go do this," and then they're all like, I don't want
sir,
to be the one to tell you, yeah, it's not what you think it is. And then he's like, "What the?"
And he's
fuck?
like, fucking loses
God
his
damn
shit.
It, fuck. Then he's like, "Okay, fine, whatever."
He's like, "Look, we're gonna do this. We're gonna fucking handle it this way." I actually, that's a good scene, and that is a movie that I would recommend watching with the subtitles, because I feel like the feeling that the actor portrays as Hitler
Right.
comes through.
It's not
with his
enough to
tone.
take back the Holocaust that actually happened.
It's not.
But
It's not. But when you're portraying history, you have to make some concessions.
sure.
You don't have to like Hitler, but the actor that played him, I think if you had to put Hitler in somebody's casting, this
He
guy
looks like
did
him.
a fucking fantastic job. Not that that's the point of this conversation.
No, but we were talking about.
But as far as subtitling goes, listening to it in the native German that it was shot in and reading the subtitles works better, because you get the feeling and the language feels that way.
Sure, but it was probably made as like a real movie. Where I'm trying to say is Herzog
Right.
has a very basic script, and he puts it into a visual art. Like you're watching art be made, rather than like, man, I can't wait to see one of Herzog's movies. I give it a Wrath of God. It looks so badass, because really
It's a different style of filmmaking.
you're
though.
watching a group of people on a raft go down a river while one dude loses his mind. And it's not like you see him lose his mind and he starts killing people, he starts throwing shit around, he's ripping clothes off of chicks. No, you see this very internal kind of like he's losing it, he's kind of yelling at these guys, but really it's a group of people on a raft going down a river to oblivion. That's the movie. But
Right.
if you sit there and you watch it and you're like, you see like a bunch of dudes on a raft on this crazy real river, and it's like, man, how did he fucking film this? That means he's got to be on like a boat, and the water's not any less dangerous than it is for those people on the raft, and
Right.
and you just see all this stuff, and it looks gorgeous. Movie looks gorgeous, but like I said, you kind of need to sit back, and like you can look away and shit like that. You're not missing plot points. That's why I think you should probably put it with the English dubbing on there.
Right.
Because you might start to lose attention, because it's really just something to watch and look at and look cool and appreciate what it took for him to make the movie.
Right.
Not so much appreciate what it took him to write the movie, because he's not a writer, even though he writes all of his movies.
Right.
He's more of a filmmaker.
right.
Like he's creating art, and that's what his movies look like. Nosferatu, the Dracula adaptation he did, remake of a German movie that was based on Dracula. Very thematic, very kind of, I wouldn't say it's scary, but very scary elements in it, and it looks great as far as a horror movie goes. So, the only real one, like Heart of Glass, has themes in it, but it's so out there that you'd really have to be kind of picking it apart while it's going on to be like, what? And then you go back and you read about what the movie's about, and you're like, yeah, I
I
guess.
kind of got that from it.
But it wasn't as easy to get that. So that's why I would suggest that one you need to listen with the commentary on, because he's on it and another dude, and it's in
Okay.
English. Like there's a moderator dude and him, and if you watch it without knowing how he made that movie, it'll be less impactful.
Gotcha.
So, and they discuss like what he did, and I'll just tell you this real quick, is what he did was everyone except the main character were hypnotized and made to memorize their lines and to film their scenes.
Interesting.
Very interesting. And they don't say that right up front on the commentary, but they get into it. But knowing that up front,
Right.
it'll make a little bit more sense.
Cool.
And then there's all the Herzog and Kinski films, which the rest of them are in this policy DVDs that I gave you. Watch those, and then he's got a documentary about his relationship with Kinski called My Best Fiend.
Okay.
And because He's a fucking nutcase. The actor,
The actual
Kinski.
guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why are we talking about this? Oh, Herzog.
Right.
Because I wanted to talk about Herzog and how his movies are very visual.
Right.
Because I read once, we're getting into movies a little bit. I don't want to talk too much on my own, but so interject if you feel the need. Did you ever see that movie Kids?
Kids. I seen Bebe's Kids.
No, definitely not that.
I'm not sure if I've seen it or not.
Well, there's this guy, Harmony Korine, and he made that movie, and he's made a bunch of other movies. Did you see Spring Breakers?
Probably not.
Well, he made that movie, and it's not like his other earlier films. So he wrote this movie, Kids, when he was like 14 or something like that.
Okay.
And this dude, Larry Clark, liked it, and he made it. So it's a movie about a bunch of like kids that are like 14, 13, and they're all doing drugs, and they're spreading disease amongst each other.
Wow.
Like the movie opens up with this one dude having sex with like a 11-year-old or something. And by the end of the movie, he has sex with another 11-year-old. And through the process of this movie, you find out that that's what he's doing and he loves doing. And the one girl that he did it with, so like Rosario Dawson's in this movie, and it's her first movie, and she's just like a teenager in it.
Okay.
Okay, and she's banging everybody. You don't see her bang everybody in this movie, but she talks about it with her other friend. And she's like, oh, I banged this person, I love it so much. But I need to go get checked out, and I want you to go with me because I don't want to do it by myself. And she's like, okay, fine, I'll go. So Rosario Dawson goes, and her friend goes. Rosario Dawson comes up clean, nothing wrong. Her friend who goes, who only had sex with the one dude, she's HIV positive.
Oh, no.
And so this kid, who you just saw fucking bang this one little girl in the beginning and ends up banging another girl by the end, has clearly just spread to both of those two girls AIDS, HIV. And the girl is looking for him the entire movie to tell him.
Right.
Meanwhile, all these kids are fucking having drug parties and having sex with each other. And
where are these kids' parents?
Yeah, it's a fucked up. It's not an easy watch. It's not like a clean movie about these things. It's a very dirty, gritty, independent film, and it's a hard fucking watch.
Okay.
And like she gets doped up at one point and passes out at this party, and another dude sees her and bangs her, so now he's got it.
Oh no.
And it's a mess.
Wow. Like total fucking train wreck.
Right. But this dude, Harmony Korine, who's a 14-year-old kid who wrote that movie, his next movie, or one of his next movies, and all of his movies are kind of like this. Like he's a skater. He was a skater.
Okay.
And in his world, it's a bunch of skater kids. And he's made a couple other movies, one called Gummo, one called Ken Park, and that's a fucked up movie. But Gummo is like a movie, it's like about this like redneck white trash fucking backwoods little town that is in post like hurricane tornado.
Okay.
And it's shot in a very real kind of way where he kind of films real people amongst actors as well. And it's just a bunch of white trash running around. Like I think the one group of kids are killing bunnies or something. And but this one kid is taking a bath because he's all dirty and shit.
Right.
And he comes in and he takes a bath and he's like eating spaghetti and it's dirty fucking brown muddy water. And on the wall is a piece of bacon and it's taped to the wall.
Kevin Bacon.
Kevin Bacon's taped to the wall. That's a piece of bacon just taped to the wall, like duct tape to the wall.
Bacon.
And Werner Herzog went on to say that like when he saw that he thought that was like the realest bit of fucking filmmaking or honest filmmaking or something. Like he fucking loved seeing that piece of bacon taped to the wall. And
I have to know why there's a piece of bacon taped to the wall.
And it's funny, like because before watching any Herzog movies, I had seen this movie, and I was just reading the trivia, and I knew who Herzog was because like I'm familiar with his work. I just never got around to actually seeing any of it. Like I've probably seen him in some movies because he does some acting.
Right.
And I probably seen or knew of like Nosferatu, and I knew of his movies being very like cult,
iconic kind of.
Yeah, cult classic films that are people kind of like for what they are. And I was like, that's weird. But now that I've seen all of his movies, I get it. Because he shot these very kind of real setting movies.
Right.
Whereas this guy, Harmony Korine, does like the same thing, but with like these backwoods, redneck, kind of suburban.
Like, he, like, moved the fuck is the word I'm looking for?
Location?
No,
idea? Abstract?
Yeah. More like the abstract, the content.
Right.
Like, from...
Concept?
Yeah, the concept of what he's doing. You know, Herzog, he's filming these expanses and these
right, and that's how they made movies in the 60s and 70s.
Sure.
And as you see when he moves into the 80s with his movies, there's a little bit more there, and it's more like a real movie rather than like a moving artwork.
Right.
And yes, that's what Harmony Korine did, is he wrote these movies, or came up with these movies more likely, of the same kind of thing.
Right. He just moved the subject matter.
And he even got Herzog to be in a couple of his movies.
That's cool.
And you see as he gets older, his movies tend to be a little bit more movie-like. Like Spring Breakers has James Franco in it, and like a bunch of young chicks who are famous in the tweeny Disney Nickelodeon thing.
Right.
And it's a real movie rather than like him giving a bunch of cameras to a bunch of backwoods rednecks and his friends and saying, go film something strange and then we'll edit it together and see what we can do.
Like bacon.
Like fucking duct taping
like
a piece
Kevin
of bacon on the wall where a kid is in muddy bath water eating spaghetti.
That's pretty fucking weird.
It's the strangest fucking... They're the strangest fucking movies, dude.
Also bacon.
And they're not even movies that are readily available to get. Like, there's the one movie, Camp Park, you can't even buy. I think there was
just have to get, like, bootleg copies of this shit.
Yeah, I think it was like a soundtrack issue or something like that. So you can see it across, in Europe, but you can't see it here. You can't buy an official version of that.
Like, there's copyright issues?
Yeah, copyright issues with the soundtrack.
Oh, okay. That's fucked. I mean, I get it, but it's fucked.
But, I mean, that's a strange movie about, like, you watch this kid go and... I think he puts a camera up and he kills himself, like at the skate park or on a park bench or something.
That's fucked up.
And then it goes on to tell 3 separate stories about 3 kids who knew him. And one's about like a Mexican girl where her dad, like, puts her through, by the end of it, puts her through like this weird incestuous marriage between him and her because he found her like with some boy or something like that, and he freaked out and wigged out.
Gross.
And one's about a kid that's like sleeping with his best friend's mom, and there's a third story I don't remember what it's about, and they all knew the kid that killed himself, and you find out that he killed himself because he got his girlfriend pregnant, and she said something along the lines of like, you don't deserve to be alive, or you should kill yourself, or something like that, and he realizes that he really probably didn't deserve to be alive and probably should have been aborted or something, so he kills himself because he felt like he really didn't deserve to be, like, it didn't make sense for him to be around.
That's
like,
fucking dark.
It's
super dark.
It's super dark and it's super fucked up. And the guy Harmony Korine who writes these movies, all of his movies are like that.
So if I want to get super depressed, go watch that guy.
Oh my god, dude! Kids, I don't probably ever want to watch that movie ever again. I watched that on Thanksgiving.
Oh god, good family flick.
It was like Patrick and my brother and his girlfriend, and it was Thanksgiving, and Patrick's like, "We're gonna watch Kids.
We're gonna sit down and watch this fine family-friendly movie, and then have some turkey.
Yeah, we're gonna watch a movie called Kids on Thanksgiving,
and then have some pumpkin pie."
It's real heavy. You feel like you gotta take a shower afterwards.
It's that dirty.
It's a real hard watch. I recommend seeing it. I don't recommend it in a way like, oh man, this movie's so cool, you should check it out. But like, this is something to watch and kind of study.
One of those things you should watch so you can say that you've seen it and then kind of pick the pieces apart.
And learn from it. I mean, you're not going to learn anything that you don't know at your age based on that, but
yeah.
And it's not something that you want to show kids, actual kids, because I don't get it.
I don't get it.
Daddy,
why he putting his wee-wee in her doo-doo?
What's AIDS?
Jesus.
Like it.
My son's 5, and we already have to have weird fucking conversations.
He's asking questions.
He's full of questions. Like, I got fucking tagged in one night after bath time.
Okay.
Because Junior's got a boner.
Uh,
and he's like...
He's old enough to, like, I thought kids can't get that until they're, like, puberty.
No.
I don't remember ever getting one
You can get a boner. You have no idea why you... Fucking babies can get boners, dude.
That's like, weird.
It's reflexive.
That's like, something
it's
like
sensational.
And shit.
Yeah, it's sensational. Like, you rub on your pee-pee, you're going to get a boner. But I had to, like, figure out a way to explain to a 5-year-old kid why his weenie felt weird.
Just tell him, like, ask me when you're 10.
It's like, I don't know. But yeah, kids have questions about shit like that. You don't need to fucking encourage any of their viewership to
kids, he's like, oh shit, I want to live this movie.
I don't think so.
Well, like, there's this one black dude that's tooling around with this group of kids, and, like, they're at the pool or something like that, and I think they're skinny dipping. And he's like swinging his dick back and forth at all the girls and shit. They don't show it,
right,
but you know what he's doing.
Yeah.
I mean, well, it's fucking waist up, and he's like,
look at my wee wee.
It's basically that, and like he's a very unintelligible black kid, but I think he was like a semi-famous skater. Like my brother knew who he was when we watched the movie.
Oh, okay.
He's like, oh, so and so's in this, and he's like, oh, that's so and so right there.
Gotcha.
So.
Interesting.
I wanted to say there was something else I wanted to talk about, but I don't remember anymore.
Mm.
You got anything?
Have you seen?
Oh, wait, you know what? I do got something.
There it is.
All right. So, I've written a movie.
You have?
I have, and we're working on pre-production. Do you know what this is?
Is that that's the fad?
That's the current fad, and I wrote one into my movie.
Which I thought was an interesting choice.
Well, it's a very visual... The way that I wrote it in is...
Yeah, it's a nice... Yeah, just punch the fucking microphone, you retard.
He'll start the spinner. It's a fidget spinner for those people who can't see. He'll start the spinner, and then he'll go on to do his thing. I don't want to talk about that, because I'd rather people see it. That was the one that I originally thought of as being the one I would use. But
it's kind of a decent one, though.
But it's not. So
I mean, it's relatively well.
I've got this one. This is the one that I believe we'll use. I think this one's much cooler, and you'll notice the quality is much better.
Yeah, the bearings probably aren't as noisy. That is super cool.
So,
Radio silence. So we're sit here play with our fucking fidget spinners.
With some props. So we're one prop closer to.
Oh, that's part of the deal.
Part of the deal, the pre-production. So we can put that in the tub.
Neato.
I want to get a movie tub so that we can start collecting what we need.
Getting ready for this particular film set.
Right.
Yeah, I
mean, I know she never mentioned anything about the fidget spinner that I put in there, but like he always has one and he's always fucking with it, and it's kind of that thing like when we went to Canada with her family, all the kids had one.
I got one for my son,
and he likes it.
He doesn't use it properly.
Like, Daddy, I'm not a baby.
He doesn't use it properly, but I think he enjoys it.
In what way does he not use it properly?
Well, his hands aren't big enough to do this. Like he can't hold it away.
Like it hits him.
Flick it. It does.
So
his fingers are short.
So he'll just hit himself and then.
But I mean, he don't know. He fucking ding dongs around with it and fucking plays with it, I guess.
Did he want one, or you just got him one because
he wanted one?
Because all of his friends.
Because
had
I think
one.
his cousins have them.
So yeah, so I wrote one in, and you know it's kind of funny because the character that uses it, like this is a very kind of childish thing. You don't really see adults with these, as far as I know. I don't have one.
Not adults our age, no. It's a very younger millennial.
Well, they call it a fidget spinner because it's kind of supposed to help people with like ADD, ADHD.
And it just became like a super fad recently.
So I wrote one in for that character, and he like you kind of see it as him kind of having this kind of childish mind and kind of like fucked up view of everything, which I guess he does.
I mean, some of the lines in there kind of lean towards that.
And I would play with these while I was writing.
Kind of get yourself in that mindset of the guy who's going to do these kinds of things.
Not necessarily, but just kind of like I'm a fidgeter. These things were made for people like me.
I know people that at work that have these, and like, I don't know.
I've never seen one at work.
I don't know how they get anything done, dude.
I've never seen one at work myself.
But I work with some pretty young kids too, so.
Like it's like
barely 21.
It's one of those concepts that some asshole fucking came up with, and it's like a nothing of a concept, and he's probably fucking set for life.
Oh, dude, this guy's probably fucking rich off of his ass.
But this skull one is very unique.
I think it's neat. It's different from what I have seen.
And it represents the character. And he's also... Did I tell you which gun he was going to use?
Is he using the gold revolver?
Yeah.
Nice.
Because there's that one scene. There's that one scene in the movie. We didn't discuss it. I don't really want to discuss it here, but there's the one scene in the bathroom.
Oh, yeah.
Where dude gets it, and it drops on the floor or whatever, and he goes to get it to use it on Homeboy, and he doesn't have it.
Yeah. I think it's perfect.
So that's that.
I would like to... I don't know if I want to call it an announcement.
Oh, are you having another kid?
No. No, that's not that exciting.
Oh.
No, I want to pursue more acting myself.
That's not an announcement.
It is.
I've known that. You told me that last time.
Yeah, but we didn't podcast it last time, fuckface.
No one's listening.
No one's ever going to listen to anything we ever say.
Oh, I know. I gave Dakota a copy, now that he's a dad, and he's just had his first child. Mm-hmm. I gave him a copy of all the podcasts, and
for posterity
marked the ones that he's in.
Oh, okay.
So, like, in the future, Dakota, when your kid's old enough, she can listen to these, or your other kids too.
Sure.
And have something to look back on their dad. And be like, oh my God.
Daddy was a dork.
I don't get it.
I don't get it. Daddy, why are you talking about doing acid?
He has talked about that.
He has.
Did you hear that one?
I was here for that one.
Oh, well, he's talked about it before we did one. I don't remember him mentioning it when we did it together, but years ago he talked about it.
He talked about one of his most clearest moments of clarity, of mental clarity from doing acid.
So he says.
I believe it, dude. Drugs can open up your mind.
They can also fucking rot away your mind, too.
Kill you, but you can't get too deep into it, you know? Like, I had some serious revelations the first time I got, like, stupid.
Didn't you talk about that on here, too?
I don't think so.
I think you did.
I think I did, too.
It was probably that same episode.
Yeah. We're all sharing our drug-induced...
Except for me.
Because you don't do drugs.
I don't do drugs.
Sure, candy.
I have regular clarity moments.
Do you have normal clarity?
I have normal clarity. I have sober clarity moments.
I need chemical enhancement to have clarity.
Was there more that you wanted to add to that? Have you got an acting gig? I can't lose you for my movie, dude.
I'm not gonna overcommit so that I miss the movie because I am already committed to this one. But I'm hoping that project that I'm interested in works out. We'll just put it that way.
What project? Put more into that way.
It's just a short piece comedy thing.
With who?
I don't even know these people.
How'd you hook up with them?
Craigslist.
And then I never see you again.
You're not gonna never see me again.
My sister's watching. What's up, Jess?
What up, girl?
All right, so you ready for this? We didn't do this last time.
Okay. Oh, yeah, that's right. You told me we were going to do it the next time because you forgot about it.
I forgot it, and this is something that I've done.
All right, let's do it. Close it out.
Closing out the episode. I
I
forgot to do this with...
people play with these fucking things.
Give it back. All right, Cory.
Yes, sir.
Are you ready for this?
I'm ready, I think.
Would you rather have the world rate for alcoholism increased by 5% next year, or never have a drink again in your life? It's kind of a boring question. It says here, think of all the money you could save if you passed on that weekly bottle of wine.
I mean, it would be super easy for me to not
Drink?
drink
Well,
because I don't
let's think
drink
about
that
this.
often now.
You drink with me.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, this is like the one time I ever drink.
You don't have beer at home?
I do. I've had a 6-pack for like a month.
Okay.
Dude, when I was younger, I wouldn't buy beer unless it was an 18-pack. And then I would like kill it that day or the next day.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's think about, would you rather have the world rate for alcoholism increase by 5% next year? So what it's saying is...
Would I rather
this is the way this question reads, and a lot of them read this, is like, are you going to be altruistic and lower the percent rate by not drinking alcohol anymore? Does that make sense?
Yeah, and that's kind of the way I was reading into it.
It's not like, hey, which of these things is cooler, Cory?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the rate is.
This isn't really a Sophie's choice here.
But I think that if I had to...
But it would go up in 5%.
If it was going to go up 5% if I just stick to what I do now.
So let's say the world's alcoholism rate right now is 0.5.
And it's going to go up by
5%, a full 5%. That's a lot.
5%. That's a huge number.
It's a huge number if it's
And
a fraction like that.
I would be...
Let's look it up.
I would be that altruistic person where I'm like, well, if I give up this one thing, then it's better for the rest of the world.
Let's see what it is. Keep talking.
Because even though that's unrealistic, for anything that I do to impact the rest of what happens, it's like saying, oh, I hope we don't hit an iceberg.
Thanks, ass.
You know what I mean? It's like, oh, well, that lady Becky at work, she's a cunt, and I hope that she fucking crashes her car on the way home. That doesn't have anything to do with whether or not Becky is going to crash her fucking car and die on the way home. You know, I hope he gets fucking ass cancer and dies.
Okay, check this out. It says global prevalence rates of alcohol use disorders among adults were estimated to range from 0 to 16% in 2004.
And I wonder what the rate of annual increase is. Like the annual...
Without fucking like having to look at every single website, I couldn't tell you, but like 0 to 16%, that's a weird fucking range.
That's a super weird range.
Oh shit.
What does that say?
Oh, here we go.
Is that one better?
This one's better.
Okay, let's do that one.
Okay, and it's not going to be salacious.
I quite easily give up drinking if that means the world is better off
some of
for
the
it.
like I think when Ashley and Genesis were here, there was one that was really like, it wasn't like, oh, that's a really difficult choice. Which one would I do? It was kind of like, oh well, yeah, I would do that one.
Yeah.
Okay, so this isn't as salacious, so let me get it out before you assume that I'm asking you something that you're not going to want to answer.
No, I'll listen.
What's the biggest lie you've ever told in order to get a job?
The biggest lie I've ever told in order to get a job.
You're not going to lose your job tomorrow.
No. I mean, honestly, I haven't had that many jobs because I was at my last job for so long.
Mm-hmm.
But recently, I have been looking for work, as in the last.
You told a lie looking for one of these jobs.
I did tell a lie interviewing for a job.
But it's not going to be like a huge lie, is it?
I don't know. Like it was.
It's stupid because
in my opinion, it was more like a social engineering thing for me. Because I knew the person that I was interviewing with. Because my mom goes to church with this guy. And I was like, okay, well, I know that about this guy.
Okay,
I know he's heavily into the church. Like this guy is God-oriented.
I see where you're going with this.
God first, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of tried to not make a big deal out of it. But
butter the toast a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. A little butter on the toast, no problem. So I get to this interview, and it's supposed to be a working interview. And so I spent, I don't know, a couple hours in the shop, working on some computers and doing some dumb shit. And really it felt to me like a big waste of time. And there was another guy there at the same time as me. and he was obviously experienced, and he knew exactly what the fuck he was doing, and he was just killing me. Like, he was just fucking plowing through shit, getting work done, acting like he already worked there. And they hired that guy.
Sure.
But I kind of thought, you know, maybe I'm good character. They like me. They know my mom.
Oh my God.
I'm in the right.
I'm sure everybody thinks that when they don't get the job.
I hoped that it would be like, you know, this guy's, you know, he just graduated. He's trying to get started. We'll give this guy a shot. We can train him up, because I've had that happen to me before.
Okay.
Where I get that chance where it's like, you know, this kid's got a good head on his shoulders. Let's fucking give him a try. This was clearly a production choice. Like, this guy's going to get work done. He's fucking set to go. We can put him to work on Monday.
I think I've lost jobs for reasons like that, which is bullshit.
Yeah, and we don't have to babysit this guy. Whereas me, they would probably have to babysit me a little bit.
Right.
So anyways, I'm talking to this dude after the fact, and we're talking about, you know, he was looking at my resume. He was talking about my restaurant. And I just, like, I made a little comment about something about feeding a church. Right? I said you could feed the whole church on blah blah blah, because he asked me what my favorite thing to barbecue was, and I was like, well, I like this because it's good,
it's
and
like
it
a
makes
loaf of bread
and it makes
400 people.
You know, basically it was kind of that kind of a statement, like it's good food and it makes a lot, so it's easy to feed a lot of people is what I was getting at. But I used the euphemism of feeding a church. And he's like, no, this doesn't have anything to do with, you know, whether or not you'll get this job, or, you know, and you don't have to answer this question if you don't want to, because he was like trying to be all PC with me, right? And then he's like,
are you saying like
he's like, but
he saw the bullshit?
No, I don't think he saw the bullshit, because.
Okay, so he asked you a question. He was going to ask you a question.
Yeah, he was like, but he wanted to make sure that I knew that he can't base his choices on my preference in religion.
Sure.
Which people are going to do anyway.
Oh, absolutely. That's absolutely going to factor in, because nobody's fucking robotic to where they're like...
Not. They're going to use whatever it is that they see, and whatever hits them.
That paint's going to bleed into the other color, absolutely. Exactly. There's no way to prevent that.
So basically, I like fed him this whole line of bullshit about how much I go to church. And like I was like, yeah, I go to the you know, Baptist church on Lemon Valley. And it's like, I know you go there. He's like, oh, that's funny. I haven't seen you there. It's like, well, I go to, you know, the first service.
You go Tuesdays and Wednesdays.
Yeah, I go Sunday at 3:00. It's like, there's no service at 3:00.
Yeah, but I go in there and pray when everyone's gone. But I mean, I like my privacy.
And I mean, it's not like 100% lie, but I kind of like played up my religious standing a little bit more than I really am.
Yeah.
So, and I don't think that, I don't think he saw through the bullshit, but
you laid it on a little thick.
I laid it on a little thick, I think.
That's a good answer. I like that answer.
Yeah. And I almost feel dirty for having done it.
Almost, but not quite.
Not, because I don't know, like I felt like, because I do that though, like I can read people and tell them what they want to hear, even if it's a little bit not true.
Well, I mean, that's the thing about job interviews.
That's job interviews.
They ask you a question, you can only answer one way,
and they want their answer. They want the answer that they want to hear, and I think that
like who goes in there and be like, if you saw somebody stealing something, what would you do? And you're like, I don't know.
Tell the manager. Fucking, I don't know. Or it's none of my fucking business. Maybe you should pay attention. Maybe you should give us a fucking raise so I don't feel like I have to steal shit from you.
Oh shit.
You know, maybe fuck you. How's that?
An answer that you can never get.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, you can't say shit like that to an interviewer.
You have to be like, oh, well, I would tell
I would notify my superior, and
I would punch this guy in the nuts.
Well, they don't want you to physically engage the perpetrator. That would be against the HR regulations.
No, that would be against policy. We'd have to fire you for that. But, like, I mean, you can go to the supervisor, right? Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. So, I hate fucking interviews because it's a total...
always the same shit.
A total fucking head game. They don't want the truth. They want the right answer. And if you don't know the right answer, you're a fuckface. But if you give them the same answer that everybody else gives them, you're not impressive.
You're not genuine enough.
So
like, how can you...
It's like, well, I like interviews that are like more like a conversation than...
Right.
So if you were in this position, what would you do with that?
Right.
I would rather...
What is your best quality? What is your worst quality?
Yeah.
Tell me a
what's your-
time where you remember where you had a great experience where a customer and they liked what you did. That is the biggest bullshit ever.
And tell me, give me an example of when
You excelled in this.
Yeah, and it's like those are things you write on the fucking application, or the.
Everything you go in there for is on the application already.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, why are we even fucking talking about this?
They're like,
you have my resume. You know where I work.
They're like, here, fill out all these questions and all these forms. Done. Now, upload a resume that has all the same information that you just fucking did.
Or upload your resume. Now we can fill in your application for you off of the resume. It's like, why fucking bother? Just look at the motherfucking resume.
Yeah.
It has that shit on there.
Just upload and print out.
And I miss the days of when you could
out.
drag a fucking resume in somewhere, drop it off, or hand it to somebody, talk to them, maybe get an on the spot interview, walk out. A couple days later, get a call, you have a job, done deal.
Absolutely.
Now, you know how many fucking job posting boards I'm a part of right now?
All of them?
I can't keep track. I don't know the fucking passwords for all these things anymore.
Because every single one requires
They require a
capital,
password, or sometimes
numbers,
it's a capital, or
and
a special
a symbol.
character, and some of them don't. And then, like,
And
if
even
you
then,
started,
they don't like it.
And if you started with one password, and then the next password you need is
They
more
want
strict.
you to fucking on the keys, and hopefully you write it down and remember it.
I don't know.
Just a bunch of gibberish. Hold shift a couple times on the
Yeah,
ampersand.
and the ampersand.
Put an ampersand and a hashtag.
Hashtag ampersand.
Hashtag ampersand. That's the name of this episode.
Hashtag ampersand.
All right, well, Cory, I think that's it.
I think that covers it. Fuck job interviewing.
Fuck job interviewing. Fuck Atomic Blonde. Which also another thing I wanted to mention before we fucking blow out of here is for some reason James McAvoy was dressed as Tyler Durden at the end of Fight Club. It's basically the same costume.
That's weird.
Like he's got the buzz cut and he's wearing like a fur coat with like a
Like a wife beater? I don't remember.
No,
what
he's
he
not
was
wearing a wife beater, but he's wearing like it's either like a real tight kind of like t-shirt,
spandex?
yeah, or its sleeves are missing.
Like
So
a muscle shirt. Kind
so
of
what?
thing.
But not really a muscle shirt in the way that it's like a white wife beater. It's like a printed kind of design.
Oh, okay.
So he's wearing kind of like an argyle sweater without sleeves, and then he's got a fur coat over it with like a buzz haircut and some facial hair. Like he looks like fucking Tyler Durden throughout the movie,
That's weird.
and it looks like it was on purpose that he's dressed like Tyler Durden.
I think he might have made the mistake of going full retard when he did. What was that fucking most recent film that he did?
Which one? James McAvoy?
McAvoy.
Oh, Split.
Split. I think he might have
Did you
gone
see
full
that?
retard when he did Split. Yeah.
Where he's the little kid.
Yeah. I thought.
Did
that
we
was-
talk about
I don't
Split?
think we did because we
Where
weren't.
it's the sequel to Unbreakable?
No. Well, I think maybe we did. I don't know.
I don't think we did. I don't think we were podcasting at the
We
time.
weren't. I think we were on break. But I did see the movie and it was good. But I
He
think
went full retard.
he went full retard, and you never go full retard.
You know what? Before we get out of here, have you ever watched the Everything Wrong With such and such and under such and such minutes?
Yeah. Or 10 things you didn't know or might have known about this movie or that movie.
No, this is the Everything Wrong With.
Okay, I like those.
I can get lost in that video YouTube channel
That's one of my favorite channels.
and it also ruins like every movie that I hold sacred to my heart.
Or the reasons why you love those movies.
And some of the things that he throws out there are a little subjective. But anyways,
Yeah, that doesn't mean they don't work, though.
and it also proves the point on all the other movies that I fucking hate. So,
It serves a dual purpose.
all right, Cory. With that, thanks for listening to Sequel Productions. I'm Matt Bonta.
And I'm Cory Easley, and I fight for the users.
Fuck Atomic Blonde. Hashtag ampersand.
Hashtag.